The 1973 Canadian 1 cent belongs to the long-running Canadian cent series that carried the iconic maple leaf design. These pennies were part of everyday commerce and were produced in large quantities, making them familiar to generations of Canadians. The obverse features Queen Elizabeth II, whose portrait appeared on Canadian circulating coins for decades. The reverse displays the classic maple leaves, one of Canada's most recognizable national symbols. Because millions of Canadian cents were produced during this era, most 1973 examples are not extremely rare. However, collectors still examine them carefully because unusual examples can attract attention in the numismatic market. One of the most important factors is condition. A coin that has spent decades in circulation can show scratches, discoloration, worn lettering, and damaged details. An exceptionally preserved example can look dramatically different from an ordinary circulated penny. Collectors also inspect the coin for striking characteristics. A strong strike can preserve fine details on the portrait, lettering, maple leaves, and other design elements, while a weak strike may leave certain areas less defined. Errors are another reason a common-looking coin can become interesting. Minting errors can include unusual doubling, off-center strikes, die problems, missing details, or other abnormalities created during production. However, not every mark is a mint error. Scratches, dents, corrosion, cleaning damage, and accidental alterations can happen after a coin leaves the mint. Serious collectors carefully separate genuine minting varieties from ordinary damage. The original color and surface can also influence collector interest. Copper-colored cents that have been heavily cleaned may lose some of their natural appearance, while coins retaining attractive original surfaces can be more desirable. Another major factor is provenance. If a remarkable 1973 Canadian cent can be traced through an old collection, auction record, or documented discovery, that history can add interest and credibility to the coin. Professional grading can also make a major difference. A certified coin is examined for condition and authenticity, giving collectors a standardized description of its grade and characteristics. The dream scenario for a collector would be discovering a 1973 cent with an unusual combination of excellent preservation, a legitimate mint error, and strong documentation. Such a combination would certainly deserve closer examination. Online coin communities have also made unusual discoveries easier to share. A collector can photograph a strange-looking penny and compare its characteristics with catalogs, specialists, and other experienced collectors. This is why you should never judge an old coin only by its face value. A 1-cent denomination tells you what the coin was worth when it circulated, but rarity, condition, error characteristics, and collector demand determine what an exceptional example might be worth today. When examining your own 1973 Canadian cent, look closely at the date, lettering, portrait, maple leaves, rim, and overall surface. Use good lighting and avoid cleaning the coin, because polishing can permanently reduce its collectible appeal. And now comes the eye-catching figure often discussed in sensational coin value stories. A hypothetical exceptional example has been claimed for a breathtaking $1.45 million. That figure should not be treated as the established market value of an ordinary 1973 Canadian cent. A genuine $1 million valuation would require extraordinary evidence, authentication, rarity, and a credible sale or appraisal. So, if you own a 1973 Canadian 1 cent, don't immediately assume that every unusual mark makes it a fortune. Instead, compare it carefully with reliable references and, if it appears genuinely unusual, have it examined by a qualified numismatist or professional grading service. The real excitement of coin collecting comes from the possibility of discovery. A coin that looks ordinary to one person may contain a fascinating story about Canada's history, minting technology, circulation, and the collectors who preserved it. The 1973 Canadian 1 cent may therefore be worth examining, especially when an example has exceptional condition or a confirmed minting variety. Before selling, always verify the coin's authenticity, grade, and exact variety. So check those old jars, inherited collections, albums, and boxes of Canadian pennies. You may not have $1 million coin, but you could still uncover an interesting piece of Canadian numismatic history, and that discovery is what makes coin collecting so exciting.